Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a fantastic day, but we got a lot to talk about in regards to AMC, in regards to what is happening in the markets today and what's going to be happening tomorrow. So, a lot of things we need to get into, very short amount of time to do so. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. First things first, AMC stock currently is trading at $4.99 per share. Flat on the day, basically down 1 cent right now. Joe Schmo, nothing's really happening here as of right now. The stock is remaining at the higher end range of the gap level that we just had. That was on March 28th after the news that Amazon is looking to potentially acquire AMC. And it's kind of been holding this level well above the prior resistance level, which is now support at $4.50 per share, and the resistance level at $5.45 per share, which is the 50-day moving average. So you're kind of in this range until we get new updates from either the court litigation process that is happening on April 27th, or we get new information from the Amazon buyout, in which we're not really seeing as of right now. So nothing's really happening on the day so far. Now tomorrow is going to be very important because you're going to get 8:30 in the morning personal spending month over month. You are expecting a 0.5% increase. January's reading was 1.8%. So you're expecting personal spending to slow by quite a bit. Core PCE price index month over month. Last month's reading in January was 0.6%. You're expecting again another 0.6% reading. And for personal income month over month, you are expecting 0.4%. Last month's reading for January was 0.6%. So you're expecting personal income to go down, personal spending to go down, and for the PCE to remain relatively the same. Now, obviously, a lot has happened in the month of March. This data is for the month of February, so it's a little bit lagged behind, but this is going to give us the first indication since the Fed meeting of how inflation was doing in February before this banking crisis started to happen. If inflation actually were to somehow go higher for February, that's not going to be a good sign, and that's going to show maybe this banking crisis is not going to do enough to get inflation down by quite a bit, and that's the whole basis of why the markets are pricing in 4 rate cuts up to 1 full percentage point by the end of this year. It's because either people expect inflation to plummet, or investors expect the stock market to, and really the economy for that matter, to be very, very negative. So those are the two outcomes here. So if inflation is not coming down, that's going to be a very big problem, and we're going to get that data coming out at 8:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be big. Now here on the day so far today, jobless claims edge up to 198,000, higher than expected, and you were expecting about 195,000 estimate, so it really wasn't a huge shocker there. You were up a couple thousand more, not really a big deal, not indicating that the labor market is starting to cool down. Just from that reading, it's still at very, very low levels. Now, I think that probably the big news of the day is the NASDAQ is now in a bull market. It's now up 20% from the lows, and this is really what we need to talk about in the video later on today, how the stock market right now is really set up for massive disappointment, aka a big drop coming over the next couple of months, and you're seeing some of the same signs you've seen in 2007, 2018, 2019, 2020. Before you've seen the big drops, you tend to get a lot of bullishness, and we will talk about that in that video at 6 o'clock today. If you are interested in potentially making a fat trade on the markets, really, I mean, it's gambling, so it's not financial advice at all. You could be wrong, you could lose all your money, but that's what that video is going to be about. Coming out at 6 p.m. today is how and why the markets are probably going to fall by quite a bit. But today, S&P 500 in the green, up 0.19%. NASDAQ up 0.39%, coming down a little bit today, hitting the lows as we are currently speaking, but still in green territory. Now, you did get some economic data that came out today as well, but it's not really anything new, and we didn't really get any drastic changes. And that was to GDP numbers, corporate profits, as well as PCE prices for Q4. It was the finalization of all of this data. Things did kind of move down a little bit across the board, but not really in a way that is moving the markets, if that makes sense. Really, none of that information mattered all too much. Now, with AMC stock, if we take a look at what's currently happening with the Ortex data, give this page a little bit of a refresher here. The live short interest is sitting at 25.1%, so very, very high. And you do have 129.5 million shares that are currently sold short. Looks like about 401,000 shares were sold short today as well. Cost of our average of 392.17%, cost of our max of 435.12%, and cost to borrow minimum. Last real reading we got was 115%. It's looking like about 8% here today. Interactive Brokers has 0 shares that are currently available to be lent out, with the cost of borrow rate around 200%. So what you're seeing as far as cost of borrow rates are very, very high, and and continuing to remain very high. Now, as far as the option activity, I think this is the most interesting thing that we are seeing on AMC today. We're looking at 17 orders. These are from institutional investors, hedge funds, right? These are not your retail investors, so keep that in mind. There's not really that bullish directional bias from retail. These are hedge funds, institutions. Well, you've seen 17 orders totaling about $8 million worth a positive order value of 81%. You have not seen 81% positive order value in a very long time. Like, I can't even remember the last time that you've seen positive order value of 81%. That means for $100 going into AMC options today from hedge funds and institutional investors, $81 out of that $100 is bullish directionally. Only $19 out of that 100 would be bearish. Typically, that's very atypical of what we've seen so far with AMC, with most days less than 10% positive order value. And I think that goes to show exactly kind of what I said in the last video as well. Someone somewhere knows something, and they are preparing for another move higher with AMC stock. So that actually might be the title of this video, just so you guys know. Someone somewhere knows something. I think that jingles a little bit, but I think it's very true when you look at the option activity from institutional investors. So there is that information here on the day. AMC stock looks like it's down about 1% today. Markets are currently flushing into the low, so not a huge shocker there to see that actually playing along. But I think AMC would be a lot more red if you didn't have this directional, you know, bullishness in some of the options in AMC stock here today. So there is that information. Let me just repeat myself. AMC is kind of in purgatory here until we get some kind of new information, whether it's in regards to the Amazon buyout of AMC or the talks that are going on there, or until you get obviously some economic data could move around AMC as well, but the court litigations coming April 27th, we need to get some bit of update. Now, on a broad market kind of outlook here, you do have some earnings in after hours today. Skills, Canoe, Rumble, BlackBerry, EVgo, Urban Grow, Spark Networks, Curiosity Stream, as well as Izia. A lot of these companies are very small. I believe Rumble is actually the largest company by market cap, Rumble and BlackBerry. So those can be some important ones. Rumble can move around Google just because obviously they're kind of in the same space as YouTube, right? Basically the same thing. And I've never been on Rumble before, but I'm like, should I like looking at some of the options to trade for earnings? And I actually went to Rumble, and it's very interesting. I might have to look around in there a little bit more and do some more due diligence on it, but pretty interesting who is over there. Nonetheless, my first time getting on there, so who knows what's going to happen with earnings, how it could affect some stocks, obviously, like Google, could move the markets. Not really expecting it to. Although, as far as what the markets are pricing in for the next Fed meeting, still expecting a pause by about 51%. 49.1% of investors are now expecting a 25 basis point rate hike, and technology just does not care at this point. It doesn't matter what has been happening. Technology continues to go higher, and I think that sets us up for a real opportunity in this market, especially heading into this earnings season and over the next couple of months. Something, again, we'll talk about at 6 p.m. here today. Something I am personally paying very close attention to. As far as the option activity for this Friday, that is going to be March 31st. You're looking at about 16,500 calls currently in the money, 185,000 calls out of the money. In the money puts at about 69,000, and out the money puts at 110,000. So you do have some option activity here. A lot of this has just been weekly options, right? So if you do get a big bullish move tomorrow based off of some of the economic data, it can push some of these calls into the money with little time left at expiration. You guys know what happens to AMC or just any stock when that happens. Tends to be a pretty violent move to the upside, and that's actually what I'm starting to forecast here for even the broad markets is a rally and then a drop. Maybe we've seen that rally already. Maybe we're almost into the drop phase. We'll see. We'll talk about it later on here today. As far as AMC and the technical picture here, like I said, guys, support at 450, resistance at 550. You just need to get some kind of news to get the stock to really move above these ranges. I will tell you, if you break above 550, that 50-day moving average, you're going to go a lot higher. If you break down to 450, I believe that's going to be a solid level of support. As what you have seen here, you kind of bottomed out at about $4 per share. You did not hit a new low, a multi-year low, which would have been $3.77, the low from 2022. You held firmly above that and obviously trended higher. So I think 450 on the low end, 550 on the high end until news does ultimately come out. But if the option activity from hedge funds and institutions is any leading indicator, someone somewhere knows something. Guys, that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.